The Mushroom Man, Myciliac Priest Ornn, has been nerfed just before he's going to be released onto the live servers. I'm here to give you the stat breakdown, everything you need to know to continue using this champion if that's what you had planned for. Let's dive straight into it. What up, team? It's MurderInc here, back with another Shadow Legends video. We're talking about the Mushroom Man. So he was performing incredibly well, way too well for a champion that most players are going to have access to, if not, I don't want to say all players. Some people do skip fusions and events similar to that, but most players will have access to this epic HP based Sylvan Watcher champion. So with that being said, they saw the results from the test server. They said he's a bit too strong, and honestly, deep down, I think everyone understands that's true. Fusions are rarely as good as this epic is, so to think about this epic coming out as strong as he did, a nerf was bound to happen. So is it going to be the end of the world for this champion? No. I'm going to show you here in the video how we can still achieve sub 2-minute runs with this guy soloing. However, there's a catch. So I've seen quite a few people so far testing it, mostly on the test server, and they're getting similar results to me. There's one thing people have to realize: the quality of gear we're using is way different than the quality of gear than most players are going to be using, right? So when you see our results, they can say it's still fast, it's still usable, maybe not so much for the majority of players, and I'll explain why. So based on these nerfs there, you can see the change in percentages to poison landing. I think they did this in a good job. They didn't make him useless. Basically what they did is they made the debuff chances similar to the unbooked version beforehand. Now, thankfully in my testing, I tested him out unbooked by accident, and so I kind of knew what to expect coming into this, so it was a much easier transition for me. The only thing that they didn't have unbooked is the healing, and that was kind of the main issue with this champion. Now, regen gear is required. You don't run stun gear, you will not run toxic gear, because your success rate will go from 100% chance to probably 60 or 70 if you get crit, unless you have the most insane gear in the world, where you're running closer to 80,000 health, guaranteeing that the crits won't do enough damage to you to kill you before you get a turn. Also, the speeds would have to be pretty damn high to sustain all of this throughout the run and not just completely fall over. So is it viable to not run regen gear? No. Basically the answer is no. Like I said, if you have OP gear, you're probably not using this champion anyways, because you'll have much better options, specifically Tomb Lord, from that currency vendor. What's it called? If I can even find it. The token trader. You'll have a much better time buying Tomb Lord if you do have the crazy gear that it would take months and months to achieve. So with that being said, let's talk about the run itself. So we're going to run a dragon run here. Different than my other video, I'm actually going to use food this time. The Masteries, I'll show them after here. And here's the thing. There are ways, if you're very endgame and you really have no options, to get away with this without using insanely OP gear. The first thing you're going to notice is the crit chance I currently have on Mr. Mushroom Man here. He's going to be critting all the time. Why is that? Because he has rather high damage output, especially with some of the masteries that give increased damage based on champions dying, and he's strong affinity. What does that mean? You can run 15% less crit rate. So all of this is going to add up and save around 20 to 25 seconds through the entire run, simply by giving him crit cap and crit damage where he sees fit. Now this is the OP part of the champion that was not nerfed at all. He is still extremely tanky, and I can't stress this enough. Like, he is the tankiest champion I've seen that scales with solo farming out of any champion that's been released to my knowledge here, because of that passive. They didn't really nerf the passive. Passive is still extremely strong here in giving you HP as well as defense, and this allows you to focus less on the amount of defensive stats that this champion needs without him being in trouble here. So as you can see here, his health's not getting low at all. If all of these weak hits are crits, he goes to maybe 25%, and that is the worst possible RNG, which is why I said you always want to guarantee 100% success chance when running anything similar to this. So as we can see here, we are now getting to the dragon at the time that the dragon was killed, and some prior to the changes to this guy. So we're at 1 minute and 45 seconds. On average, this is going to be a sub 2 minute run here. It looks like there were a few unfortunate cooldown usages that is going to put it slightly above the 2 minute mark here. And of course, when I do record, it does slow down the game considerably due to the quality that I record in. So with me saying all of this, what does this mean for the average player base? Kind of like I said before, despite you seeing a 2 minute and 11 run here, and despite the fact that outside of recording, my average times are about 1 minute 55, 1 minute 57, the average player is going to be looking at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, so on and so forth. So this isn't going to be the most ideal champion to use. While he is still viable as far as soloing the dragon goes, you would have to be really scraping the bottom of the barrel to use this champion. I mean, he's fun, he looks cool, it can definitely be done, but if we want to be realistic with the quality of gear most players are going to be using, I'll kind of give you like a basic rundown of stats you're going to be looking for. So the first thing you're going to want to do is 60,000 health, similar to the previous video since that wasn't really touched. 59,000 is probably the lowest I would go on this, but 60,000 is going to be a very safe number for you. Going over 70 is just going to be a waste of stats and unrealistic to hit for most players in this game. As far as defense goes, you really do want to aim for 3,000, but as we can see here, I'm doing fine with 2.8. Now granted, the longer you sit in these battles with the less quality gear, the more damage you're going to take here. So I would say 2,600 or 2,500 defense is going to be the lowest levels you're looking for. As far as speed goes, you can go from anywhere from 228 to, as we can see, 243 and above. The more speed, the more turns you're going to get, which is definitely going to add to your team. However, I did find something quite interesting here. Once you go above 250 speed, the diminishing returns on how fast you can go are not that great. So I don't recommend going over 250 speed if you can help it. However, if your gear lands that way, it lands that way. Don't stress on lowering speed. That's definitely not going to be optimal here. But just to keep in mind, going too fast in this champion with the masteries I'm going to show you next isn't going to provide the greatest clear speed increase to this champion. Now the next part being the crit rate and crit damage. This is where if you're more endgame, you can get away with this. The average player is not going to be able to get away with this. So this is kind of the determining factor in what constitutes a fast run or a slow run here. You have to hit the resistance rates, you have to hit the base accuracy being 220, that's kind of the safe area for stage 25, but once you do all of that, it's going to be very strenuous on the majority of players here to start worrying about crit rate as well as crit damage here. So in my honest opinion, it would be the best to aim for 50% crit rate if it's within your power. If it's not, don't worry about it at all. As far as crit damage goes, don't even worry about that. Any crit damage you can get is going to be beneficial to you. Like I said, since you do have a bit more leeway on the HP, it might be more beneficial and possible for more players to start building these champions at a much better level. I'm kind of surprised they didn't nerf that part. Plarium, if you're watching, don't nerf him again. He's fine as he is. So that's the goal here as far as priority goes. Crit rate, crit damage is going to definitely be on the last end of priority if you can pull it off or not. The next thing we're going to talk about is going to be the masteries here. Now I did something quite interesting with the masteries and you're going to kind of see that here. So this is going to be typical solo farming champion here. We have Whirlwind of Death. We have increased damage with kill streak, all of that good stuff. Stacks across each round in the battle up to 12%. You can notice these numbers. We have some health here if you need accuracy for sure. Feel free to take pinpoint accuracy. I did want to get a little bit more of the healing, but after testing, you do not need lay on hands. Arcane celerity, of course, is going to be important here. Now, this is the interesting part. Spirit haste, sniper, and then master hexer. I decided not to take master hexer. You might be thinking, why would you do that? I went for the guaranteed 5% instead of the chance, 30% chance of duration. I like consistency. I've said that many times here. If you choose to take master hexer, you will get faster runs, but you will also get slower runs. That's pretty much what it's going to come down to. So if you do end up, like I said, while building the champion, maybe your speed a little bit higher than 250, this is when you can consider dropping Spirit Haste, since you're already getting a decent amount of speed from killing enemies, and by the time you get to the dragon, you're going to be super fast anyways. So do I think you need Whirlwind of Death as well as Spirit Haste? No. However, you're going to want to aim for like 280 speed after both of these masteries have been added up as a minimum here when going forward, and if you do plan to use Myciliac, Priest, Orin here. So that's going to conclude my post-nerf testing just before this guy hits the live servers on Myciliac, Priest, Orin. Now let's talk about Ice Golem really quickly. Not viable. I've tested on 25, 24 with the most broken gear imaginable, and I cannot get anywhere near 100% chance win rate. So do not use him. If you want to do stage 20 with this guy, fine. It'll work. You will still need above average gear to do it, and it cannot compete with other champions that you are more common to have at this point in the game unless you're brand new, that can solo it faster, that can 2-man faster, 3-man faster, 4-man, all of that good stuff here. So if you do plan on using him on stage 20 Ice Golem for like events or the rare occasions that he is required to complete anything, his stats are going to have to be different than Dragon, because even on stage 20, you're going to notice that this guy's going to need a lot of stats to kind of keep up. If anything, I do think that stage 25 is more similar to stage 20 on the Ice Golem, which is not the case in any solo farming champion, but it's just how his kit ended up working out here. So if you think this guy's going to be good for you on the slower end for Ice Golem as well as Dragon, I hate to break it to you, but that's just not going to be the case. So that's going to conclude this video. Give me your thoughts and feedback on these changes. No one's going to be happy. Why would anybody be happy? Nerfs are a terrible thing. At least they caught it very quickly here. So as always, guys, if you enjoyed this content, smash the like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you all in my next upload.